In June 2006, the NBA announced that it was making a drastic change. In what would be the first time in 35 years, the NBA declared that it was changing the Spalding iconic leather ball to a new ball made out of microfiber material. Then CEO of Spalding remarked that the company's efforts to advance basketball technology yielded this optimal ball. And also, former Commissioner David Stern would echo this sentiment, doubling down on the fact that this ball would ensure that the best players in the world would be at their best. And that's exactly what happened. Shaq made all of his free throws, the league said career... Okay, let me stop. Everyone hated the new ball. One of the biggest haters of this new ball was no other than Shaq, who said it feels more like one of those cheap balls you buy at the toy store. I look for shooting percentages to be way down and turnovers to be way up, because when the ball gets wet, you can't really control it. Whoever did that needs to be fired. Other players like Steve Nash and Caron Butler also complain about the ball's tendency to slip and it being tough on the fingers. Sharpshooter Ray Allen would also second this by stating, "I had to consistently put lotion all over my hands because my fingers were cracking up and it's causing splints on my fingertips." To make matters worse, NBA players were never consulted about the change and only former players tested out the ball before its introduction in the league. Consequently, due to all of the negative feedback, the Players Association filed a complaint that would eventually lead to the return of the previous ball. However, in 2021, it may appear that the second coming of this problem could already be affecting the product that we see on the court. But before we continue, be sure to leave a like on the video, as each like only takes a second of your time but makes a massive difference to the channel. If you end up enjoying the video, then feel free to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Without further ado, let's get back to the video. In May of 2020, the NBA announced that it was switching from its iconic Spalding basketball in favor of Wilson basketballs, and in the process, also suggested that there wouldn't be much of a change in the ball's design. As to why this change occurred, well, there aren't many details about that, but what is obvious is that the NBA's contract with Spalding expired and they elected to switch to Wilson. It's important to note that Wilson was actually the first official ball of the NBA in its first 37 years of existence, and Spalding would take over for the next 37 years, meaning that Wilson would come back for its 75th season of inception. But now, let's get into what's important. How do the Wilson and Spalding balls compare? Well, a few weeks ago, I met up with a college friend of mine who actually has the official NBA Wilson ball, and I brought my own Spalding ball to compare. Having not played basketball in months, I can tell you that dribbling that ball almost placed me on oxygen. But at its core, the shape and structure of the Wilson ball is very similar to that of the Spalding ball. However, I did notice that the Wilson ball does feel a tad lighter and that the pebbled surface is a bit more raised than the Spalding ball. This took some time to get used to, but believe me when I say that the ball was comfortable to use. However, I felt that my Spalding ball was softer to the touch, and familiarity combined with having broken the ball in meant that I had a better experience with it. But at the end of the day, those are just my opinions on those comparisons. So, if you have used both the Wilson and Spalding NBA licensed balls, then comment down below how you feel those two compare. And, in the grand scheme of things, I'm just an NBA superfan and 1/4 as good as the 15 man on the bench. So, how do players in the league react to this ball? Well, after a win against OKC, Paul George stated that it doesn't have the same touch and softness as the Spalding ball had. You'll see it this year, a lot of bad misses, and you'll see a lot of air balls. NBPA President CJ McCollum has said, "We're all still adjusting to the new ball," and also aims to get feedback from players around the league about the ball. This NBA season, at least at the time of this recording, the league average field goal percentage is 44.6%, which is actually the lowest since 2004, and the three-point percentage is now 34.2%, which is actually the lowest since 1999. Coincidentally, we've seen many prominent players struggle to shoot the ball to start this season. Damian Lillard is infamously shooting 35% from the field and 23% from 3. Jayson Tatum is shooting 40% from the field on 27% from 3, and MPJ is shooting a putrid 35% from the field and 23% from 3. So, it can be said that since the NBA has brought in this iteration of the Wilson ball, shooting percentages have nosedived. However, since we were embryo, we were taught that correlation doesn't equal causation. There are a ton of confounding variables that can be impacting the performance of those aforementioned players. And even Paul George, who has spoken about the Wilson ball, is having a sensational season, averaging 28 points on 49% from the field and 41% from 3. As Otto Porter Jr. put it best, it's a brand new ball, and the more you shoot with it, the more you break it in. The reality of the situation is that a new ball definitely takes getting used to, regardless of how similar it is to the previous ball, but at the same time, players will get used to it. This isn't the same ball that tore Steve Nash's fingers apart and got replaced just months into the season. There are players who have been just fine since the ball switch, and players who are actually working their way to get out of their slumps. Shams actually tweeted yesterday that the Wilson game ball has been discussed, and that the players and the league are working with Wilson to adjust where appropriate. So, I guess that if there is eventually a rally of the players against the game ball, it's a good thing that discussions have already taken place on how to improve it. Again, those are just my thoughts on the ball changing from Spalding to Wilson, and I want to hear all about your thoughts in the comments section below. Which ball do you personally prefer for basketball indoors and outdoors? And also, do you feel that the Wilson ball has anything to do with the slumps that we're seeing with these top players? If you haven't already, be sure to leave a like, as each like helps boost the video in the algorithm, and also feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and share the video with another basketball lover like yourself. That's it for me, hope to see you guys in the next one, and stay tuned.